Okay, welcome again. I'm not so sure actually if I'm live or not. So bear with me for a second and let me know if you see and hear me. This is the Soul Infused Monday show, and my name is Sonia de la Torre, and I do this every week. And if we haven't connected yet before, I'm here to help you to love yourself, to trust yourself, to connect to the deepest true self that you are, and to reconnect to the divine being. And so please let me know. I have some technical issues here. I just want to make sure that I'm actually live. Let me know. Okay, well, I'm just going to assume for some reason I don't see any comments and I cannot see anyone live, but I'm just going to keep going. All right, I'll just keep going. And if it's not working here. Oh, Carla, hey, okay, it's working. Okay, fantastic. So welcome again officially to the Soul Infused Monday show today with the topic, how to get rid of your inner critic. So please leave me a comment below if you personally struggle with this, or if you know of someone who is kind of like very negative within themselves, judgmental and too harsh sometimes. Do you personally struggle with that? And if yes, in which ways? And if you're just jumping in, I'm sorry I had a few minutes of a little bit of a problem and I have a little bit of a delay, but for the next 20 minutes, for the next 20 minutes, I'm here with you for the Soul Infused Monday show with the topic, how to get rid of your inner critic. Okay. The other day I was on a strategy call with a woman from the UK, and when I was talking to her, she asked me a question. She said, Sonia, how do I get rid of the inner critic? And I want to share with you what I told her, and a little bit to dig a little bit deeper into the inner critic topic for today. So she asked me, Sonia, how do I get rid of the inner critic? And I get this question a lot, by the way. And I asked this question myself many years ago. And again, please if you hear and see me, leave me a comment below so that I know that you're there and that you are actually seeing this, because I had a few issues. So my answer to the question, how do you get rid of the inner critic, is you don't. You don't get rid of the inner critic. And before you are discouraged and say, Sonia, well, that's not the answer I was looking for, hang in with me. There's a better answer and a better way than Shirley. Hi, loud and clear, fantastic, thank you. Hi, Shirley. Who else is here today? Let me say hello. Tiffany, we can see and hear you, fantastic, thank you. Okay. So you don't get rid of the inner critic. You become free from it in a sense that it's not running your life. You detach from it. You disidentify from it. And before I tap even further into that, I give you a super short example of what just happened even to me. I love myself. I love myself. And it took me a lot of time and work and really struggle also, and to get to the point to be able to say that without being ashamed, without being afraid of being judged, and with really owning it. It would have never been possible before because my inner critic would have just beaten myself up. But as a simple example, 3 minutes before I went live on this show, and I watched it clearly. I was already getting ready. So 3 minutes before I went to the show, my inner critic told me, Sonia, change what you're wearing. Doesn't look good enough. It's not pretty or whatever. The reason for me to share that with you, detaching, becoming free, and disidentifying from the inner critic means freedom, means conscious choice, means that you know who you are and you can make a decision. I heard that voice inside of me. I don't hear it much anymore because it gets quieter. I heard that voice inside of me. I heard the message and I made a choice. I didn't get up all stressed out. Oh my God, I'm going to wear a different shirt or something and then come back all stressed out just to fulfill an expectation of someone. But I'm not rid of it. Does that make sense? I just want to really make sure that there's a difference between you trying to get rid of something versus you actually focusing your energy to embracing it, connecting with it, understanding it so that you are free from being run by it. That's a huge difference. Let me know if this makes sense and if you agree or disagree. And I apologize if, hi Colleen is here, if I don't see your post because, okay, got it now. Okay, I see it over here. That's where I see your posts. Interesting. Okay, so does this resonate with you? Claudia's here. Okay, Chrissy, you're able to discern that voice. Yes, exactly, Colleen. Yes. Okay, fantastic. So I want to take a minute. And of course, this is a huge, huge topic. A huge topic that I can speak for hours, for weeks, for months, for years. And it took me a long time to get to the place where I'm at. I want to be very, very clear. There's not just a super quick fix overnight and whoops, everything is fine and there's no inner criticism anymore. Because if that would be the case, you would have done it already, you wouldn't even watch this. And I'm sure you read a book or some article or you heard before that judging yourself is not healthy in any way. And it's not going to happen overnight. And that's okay. So let me scratch the surface on this topic today, and I'm happy to go deeper with you in further shows or in a one-on-one conversation that I do a lot. I have strategy calls with women, and they often ask me, Sonia, how do I get rid of the inner critic? What is the inner critic? The inner critic is something that is developed very early in your childhood, from your psyche, originally actually to protect yourself. So that's the first thing that is super valuable to understand, that the inner critic is not here to, it's here to beat you up, obviously, but originally it's here to protect you. It's here to protect you to get judged by others, protect you from your own vulnerability. It's a very flawed logic and it does not serve you anymore. And now it's running on autopilot and it's very collapsing, takes your power away, and it causes feelings of lack of self-worth, loneliness, shame, inadequacy, not feeling good enough, comparing yourself constantly. Who in here who's watching this right now or on the replay can relate to this? Who in here can relate to this? Okay, and Chrissy says detaching it, identify, conscious choice, focus on embracing, connecting, free by being run by. Exactly, you got it. That's exactly what I meant. So, and if you have any specific questions about the inner critic, this is your chance today to leave them in a comment and I will definitely answer them. And if I don't get the chance to answer them live, I will get back to you and answer them again for you. I can totally relate. Yes. Okay, who else can relate? So first of all, to be honest, everyone can relate. Some more than others, because some people have like a killer critic, a critic that's kind of like merciless judging ourselves. I had one of those. If it would have not been for the inner work that I decided to do, if it would have not have been for the choice to do something different, I seriously would have taken my life away for the misery and pain that I was in, and for the judgment and the shame that I was feeling about myself. And I want to give you an example of what the inner critic can do to you and how it actually affects your life, and you might not even notice it because most of the time it runs you unconsciously. And even though we are talking about it right now and you understand it consciously, still 90% of all of this that I'm just talking about still runs totally unconscious. what are some ways of detaching from inner critic? Okay, great question. So years ago, when I was still living in Germany, I went to do some shopping. I wanted to buy a bikini. Horror movie for me, nightmare. Hated myself, hated my body. I avoided any situation where I would have had to get naked or in a bathing suit or something like that. So that's where I was in. So I went shopping with a friend. So there I was in that shop, walking around, feeling really awkward, insecure, no fun at all, and was looking at some different pieces. I take one, really nice color, bright. Another one that was like a one piece. It's like, okay, so I'll just take some, and I'll took it into the changing room, and I put it on. So in that moment, I was standing there in that room, looking at the mirror, looking down at the bikini that I was wearing, and I felt really bad. I felt, ugh. I didn't feel good. And I asked my friend, what do you think about this? How do you like this? What do what's your opinion? And she looks at me with disgust, up and down, and says, ugh, of course, you're fat and ugly. What do you expect it to look like? You're never going to look good in a bikini. You should never, ever actually show your body at all to begin with. Get out of this mall, forget about ever buying a bikini again, and feel ashamed of yourself. That's pretty harsh, don't you think? It's nearly even a little bit shocking that a friend would say that to you. Would you agree? How would that make you feel? Well, here's the truth though. The most disturbing piece of this story is that this friend I'm talking about was myself. Because our friend would never talk to us like that. Usually. Never say never. It's very harsh. Yeah, unbelievable, Shirley, right? Check your reaction. This is unbelievable, harsh, mean. How could someone speak to you like that? You speak like that to yourself. That's the inner critic. It wasn't my friend. It was myself. I wanted to make a real strong point. Right? Yeah, Shirley says right. And sometimes it needs to hit us for us to really realize how it affects us in such a strong way. And how do we dare to talk to us like that if we would never dare, like, you would never say that to a friend of yours, a dear friend that you love, that you care for, and is in a difficult situation, and maybe it doesn't feel so comfortable. And this is only one example. It doesn't matter. It's a bikini. It's a speech that you're preparing. It's a book that you're writing. It doesn't matter. A friend would never say that to us because that's so mean, that's so harsh, and it's not true. That's the most important piece. It's not the truth in that moment. So I really wanting to make a point here. So number one, and I think Chrissy, you asked the question, how to detach from it. The first thing that you do is you become aware of it. The first thing is that you become aware, and I know this is not a light topic today. It doesn't feel good to tune in and to be aware of it. It's not comfortable at first to look at yourself and realizing that's the way I talk to myself. And maybe you say right now, oh yeah, no, that's not, I don't speak to myself that harsh. Usually the inner critic has an energy of very strong judgment, sometimes shaming, judgment, angry, and you're so used to it that you don't even realize. And a client of mine that I was talking to last week as well, I asked her, what's the energy of your inner critic? Like when you talk to yourself, like when you judge yourself, what's the energy? And she said, Sonia, to be honest, and she was, like for a moment, she didn't want to use the F word, but I'm going to use it because that's how our inner critic sometimes talks to us. So if you're shocked, then I'm sorry about that. Her inner critic was talking to her like this. What the fuck is wrong with you? What were you thinking? And again, I know this is not comfortable. And a lot of people really avoid discomfort, but then want to become free of something that makes them feel so uncomfortable all the time. So the number one thing to detach from is to first actually to become aware of it. Get to know your inner critic. Get to know your critical inner voice, because it's not who you are. It's a voice that got developed over time when you were growing up in your psyche, and now it's running totally out of control. So does this make sense, guys? Am I give me a little bit of feedback. I know it's not an easy topic for many, and yet it's such an important topic, because this struggle with the inner criticism, with judging yourself, is what runs this world on so many levels. So many levels. And the solution to detach from it is to do the inner work, to tune in, to release those old patterns, those old voices, those old beliefs that are telling you constantly that you're not good enough. And ultimately, the solution is to reconnect to who you really are, so that you become free to be who you are. You live expanded, you love yourself, you're connected to your highest potential, versus you being collapsed and judging yourself. So where do you want to be? Do you want to live like this, open and loving and excited about life? Or do you want to stay here beating yourself up? It's a choice that you make. Okay, I want to see what some of the comments said. You need to talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend. Exactly. That's exactly what I said. Yeah, exactly. Number one, become aware. Way you talk to self, judge self. Okay. All right. So yes, number one, acknowledge the fact that you have that voice that is criticizing you. You're identified with it most of the time. So in the beginning, it's like, well, it's not my inner critic, it's me. I wasn't looking at the mirror saying, oh, my inner critic is telling me right now that I'm fat and ugly. No, I was looking at myself and I was saying, I am fat and ugly. I am not good enough. And I was identified with it 100%, 1,000%. So the first step is to really make a choice that you actually want to become free. Number two, get to know him, detach from him. And then really reconnect to who you are. Do the work, do the deep inner work, invest time and energy and money to go on that path, whatever that means to you. And stop seeking for another great book or another miracle tool that's going to shift it overnight, but because it's not going to happen. Because if there would be a tool that shifts this miraculously, I don't even know if that's a word, but like miraculously, I think that's the word, miraculously overnight, everybody would get that tool and our world would look a different place, in a different way. And you want to be kind to that inner critic. I hear you. Yeah. And it's really, energy follows attention. And let me tell you, I've tried to get rid of my inner critic. When I embarked on the journey of self-discovery, when I embarked on the journey of self-healing, and I made the decision I'm going to do whatever it takes to love myself, and I discovered my own inner critic and I was working through it, I tried everything that didn't work, therefore you don't have to do that. Try to get rid of him. Try to fight him. Try to deny him. Try pretending he's not there, or she, it, whatever you want to call it. And all of that doesn't work. Energy follows attention. If you fight the inner critic, you give it more attention, negative attention. If you focus on what's on the other side of the inner critic and you keep creating that pathway through the inner work, through meditation, through mindfulness, through shifting your energy. My expertise is energy work, so it's all about shifting your energy. If you focus on this and you accept, acknowledge, and embrace the inner critic versus you fighting it, instead of it being an enemy, it becomes a part of yourself, but you are not dependent on it, you're not a prisoner of it, and you are or have the choice. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know. Energy follows attention. This is so true. Aha moment. Thank you. Aha moment. I love aha moments. Guys, if you have an aha moment, always share with me for 2 reasons. Number 1, it helps me to determine what's really valuable for you, and even more important for you, when you share your aha moment, it ingrains stronger. So share any aha moments you have. And if you have any questions, let me know. And this is such a huge topic. I will continue with it because, you know, the time, it's already 20 minutes that we're on this Soul Infused Monday show. So I'm going to wrap it up for today. And if you have any additional questions, or if you ask yourself, hey, Sonia, how can I, have a call with you and work deeper on this issue with me? Simply go to the page, helpmesonia.com. And I am happy to get on a strategy call with you too. Apply for one of those calls. I have a few per month as long as I'm available. So if you want to have one of those calls where you can dig a little deeper onto your own inner critic, just go to helpmesonia.com and I'm happy to do that. Do you have any last questions? Tina says, yeah, totally. Okay, good. Fantastic. So, embrace it, detach from it, do the inner work, become free, and focus on who you are as the true being versus being too hung up on fighting and judging the inner critic and trying to get rid of it, because you put more energy in it and it will actually make you struggle even more. You want to shift your energy into who you, the being of you are, the essence of your being, connecting to your soul, and becoming free, and then it's just something that you are aware of, but it does not run your life anymore. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know what's the most valuable thing you got out of this show, and if you have any additional questions, leave a comment. I get back to you, and or apply for a call with me, and I'm happy to talk to you personally. Much love.